Is bedtime a nightly battle filled with your toddler's screams? Well, in today's video, I'm going to show you proven techniques to bring peace back to your evenings. So how do you turn your evenings from stressful to serene? So let's take a look at some of the reasons why your toddler may be screaming at bedtime. Because by identifying the cause, it can really help you with your course of action. Common causes are overtiredness and overstimulation in the lead up to bedtime, separation anxiety, nighttime fears, an inability to self-settle, if there's a lack of routine, and also, and this is an important one, they may be doing it just because it works. There are a couple of other reasons which also might impact your child's behaviour at bedtime. One of them is developmental, and that is that they are feeling big emotions at this age. And so, especially when they become tired, those emotions become overwhelming quite easily. So that can be a big cause of disruption at bedtime. Another reason can be there's often big change in a toddler's life. Maybe there's arrival of a new sibling, maybe you've moved house, maybe they've started daycare, or you've gone back to work. Any of those things can also disrupt their sleep patterns and their ability to fall asleep peacefully at night. The other big thing that happens from about 18 months onwards is that your toddler is going to be far more independent and want more independence. And managing that independence is key to your toddler's behaviour throughout the whole day, not just at bedtime. But it becomes more apparent at bedtime because both you and your toddler are tired. And if things haven't been managed well in the day, you're going to end up with an overtired toddler that's hyper at the end of the day and therefore more prone to meltdowns, tantrums and screaming in general. So how do we manage this newfound independence in a safe but liberating way? So let's take a look at some of those things that I'm talking about that you can do to help prevent your child getting to the point where they have to scream at bedtime or they are screaming at bedtime, depending on what the cause might be. You have to have, and I'm sure you're tired of hearing me say this, but I say it all the time, an established, regular, recognisable bedtime routine that happens at roughly the same time every day. And for me, the bedtime routine starts after the last meal of the day. It doesn't start at bath time, it starts in the lead up to bath time. Toddlers struggle with transitions, and the biggest transition they're going to have is that one at the end of the day, when they're tired, when they've got to wind down from playing, and they've got to start the inevitable bedtime routine, which they know means that you're going to say goodnight and leave them. So you need a lot of help with this. There's no other time in the day when you need to be more focused and concentrating on what your child's doing. So if you want them to do something, whether it be help tidy up the toys, or when they finish their meal, they can start help clearing the table, whatever you want them to do. If you want them to go upstairs to have their bath, you have to be with them and you have to be present. You cannot shout instructions from another room because at this age, if you have not got down to their level, made eye contact and made it very clear what you want, then chances are you're not going to get them to do what you want, which ends up with you being frustrated. Then you start getting flustered and then things start to escalate. So now we need to offer them some acceptable choices, give them some control over the bedtime routine so that they don't feel like you're constantly saying, do this, do this, do this. I always say, let them choose some specific bath time toys. So you can have bath time toys maybe that are there all the time, but then you have special bath time toys that you only play with on special occasions or on certain nights of the week. So you say, right, would you like to have, should we blow bubbles in the bath tonight? Would you like your special boat toy? Whatever, they can choose one of those toys to have in the bath with them. There's going to be a special game that you're going to play with them. Then you can offer them a choice of pyjamas to wear, only a choice of two, and they always have to be two acceptable choices. And by acceptable, they're acceptable to you. If they're struggling to choose, then you say, I can see you're struggling to choose. Would you like me to choose it for you? Chances are they're going to say no, they'll want to choose. If they still don't choose, then you go ahead and choose. Make it as fun as you possibly can, but they need to know that there's only two acceptable choices. And then when it comes to bedtime, they can choose the books that you're going to read, and I would say a maximum of two. And then they can choose a song you might like to sing together before you say goodnight. And I would also have a goodnight ritual. Use the same words every night. Then you speak to your child to wish them goodnight, whatever that might be. With that solid foundation, you will cut out a lot of the drama. I'm not saying it will always work, but if the reason is that you haven't got a solid bedtime routine, you may find that just doing that is going to fix things. And I would stick to, as I said, to the same time every night. And what they like is the repetition. Toddlers love repetition. But within the repetition, you are offering them some acceptable choices. I would also suggest that you stay one step ahead and offer your toddler a small drink before they go to sleep. And if they've been the sort of toddler that's telling you they're hungry after they've gone to bed, then offer them a little bedtime snack before they have their teeth cleaned. This is so that if you're going to start having an altercation with them once you've said goodnight, you can be rest assured that they're not hungry and they're not thirsty, and they can't use that as an excuse. And it gives you a bit more resolve. I would like to say one other thing at this point, and that is, don't ask your toddler what they would like to do. You have to be in control, and this is key. You might think that you are smothering their independence, but you're not. They will thank you for it because you are offering them independence within that guidance. So don't say, shall we go and have a bath now? Or shall we go to bed now? You have to say, it's time to tidy up now. It's time to have a bath. It's time to get out the bath. It's time to put our pajamas on. It's time to clean our teeth. It's time to get into bed. I would also advise that you limit screen time, if not exclude it completely, in the lead up to bedtime. It is very well known and proven that the blue light emitted from screens is going to disrupt your child's sleep. They might fall asleep okay, but they're more likely to wake up, and it really is not good for them. And there is no need for screens for toddlers at all, in my opinion, especially at that time of day. And you have to lead by example. They should not see you on screens either at that all-important time, because you're meant to be focusing on the bedtime routine. Now, depending on how your toddler is behaving at bedtime, you might need to look at adjusting the bedtime. Look for sleep cues. If you really believe that your child is ready and primed for sleep at that certain time, then stick with it. However, if you think they're getting overtired, then you might need to bring bedtime a bit earlier. And if you feel that they really aren't tired enough and they're showing signs of not being ready for sleep, then you need to look at their naps during the day and or moving bedtime out. One big one is, chances are that if they're screaming at night, they're not just doing it at night, they're probably doing it during the day as well. And it will be about how you manage those behaviours during the day that will impact on whether they think it's worth having a go at it at night because it works. Another key thing is to let your toddler practice their new skills during the day. This happens throughout your child's development in the early years, and if they do not get enough, whether they be a baby, a toddler or a preschooler, when they go to bed and they're just lying there, their brain is busy with all the new things that they've been learning. So you need to give them as much opportunity in the day to get all of that out there, whether it be physical or creative or fine motor skills or whatever they might be learning to do. Give them lots of opportunity. Make sure they've got a stimulated day to get a lot of practice, so it's out of their system, ready for them to rest until the next day. Another important thing is get outside into the fresh air and the natural light every day. Natural light is really important for your children, and toddlers also need to get rid of that physical energy that they've got. Now that they have the ability to walk and run and jump and they're learning to climb, they need to have that opportunity to get rid of that energy. And also the natural light that you're exposing them to will balance their circadian rhythm. So in order to get nighttime sleep right, you need to get daytime sleep right. So you need to know how much sleep your toddler needs in a 24-hour period, and you need to ensure that they get that sleep and that rest. They might be taking it in 2 naps, they might be taking it in 1 nap and a quiet time. And I'm a great fan of quiet time. To utilise it if you can and keep a routine. A nap routine is also important. They're taking their naps at roughly the same time every day. An overtired toddler is difficult to manage and will struggle to fall asleep and is more likely to have tantrums and meltdowns at bedtime. So you really need to nail the daytime sleep. And if you're unsure how to do that, go to the website. There are lots of posts by age that tell you exactly how much sleep on average children of that age need, and how many naps they should be taking, and how to transition their naps as well. There'll be links in the description box below. Another reason they might be screaming at bedtime is due to separation anxiety. Separation anxiety can happen at any point in your child's development. It can happen on numerous occasions. It just depends on what has triggered it. If your toddler has experienced separation anxiety, you need to identify the reason, and it could be because of the arrival of a new sibling, attending daycare, you going back to work, therefore they're spending more time away from you. Once you've done that, you need to help them get through it. So let them practice spending short periods of time away from you with friends and family, and give them lots of support and comfort. It is a phase and they will pass through it, and giving them extra support at bedtime, like audio apps and a favourite toy and doing some gentle sleep training techniques will definitely help. Another reason that your toddler might suddenly start screaming at bedtime is because they're scared. Toddlers' imaginations are developing at a rapid rate, and with that there comes a development of their imagination. So fear of the dark and fear of monsters under the bed become very real in the toddler years. So it's important to have a nightlight, and this is where I think the use of books can be amazing, because you can use books to help your toddler address this issue of fear. There are some lovely books out there which have characters that are dealing with the fear that your toddler's dealing with, and it makes them feel less alone. It also promotes conversation between you and your toddler about what might be concerning them and what might be frightening them. Helping your toddler to express their emotions during the day can help them deal with frustrations at any point, especially at bedtime. Now, it's difficult for 18-month-olds to talk fluidly about their emotions, and as your toddler grows, they'll become better at it. You can read books about emotions, but you can also use emotional flashcards, and they're brilliant because your toddler can point at them and show you how they are feeling, because their comprehension is far beyond their ability to communicate with you at this point. So they're a handy thing to have, and by getting rid of those frustrations, so they're not building up as the day goes on, you might get less screaming and tantrum throwing at bedtime. If all those things have not worked and your toddler is still screaming and yelling and shouting at bedtime, then you need to adopt some sleep training. And I would try some gentle ones first, because the chances are they're screaming because you're leaving them and they don't want you to go. So then you can start with the camping out method or the I'll be back method. So that's the camping out method with the chair, where you start next to the bed and you gradually move it further and further until you're out of the room over consecutive nights. Or the I'll be back method, where you settle your child and you say to them, I'll be back in a couple of minutes, I just need to go. And it has to be a boring task, load the dishwasher, put a load of washing on, and then you come back, and you always must come back. And you keep returning, gradually lengthening the time that you're away until such time as your toddler's asleep. And over successive nights, they should eventually start falling asleep before you've returned the first time. There's more details about those sleep training techniques in some posts on the website, and we'll put links to those in the description box below, so you don't need to remember those now. The other thing is that if they haven't learned to self-settle, those sleep training techniques will teach them to do so, because a toddler that hasn't learned to self-settle is going to really struggle when you leave the room. And those sleep training techniques are designed to give them that skill. Okay, there's a lot of information there to take in, but that means that there is lots of things that you can do. And I always find that encouraging. It's not like, well, I've tried 2 things and they haven't worked. There are lots of things that you can do to help your toddler go to sleep more peacefully. And we have lots of information, as I've said already, on the Teething to Tantrums website, and we'll include as many of the links as we possibly can in the description box below. But you can also just pop over to the website and explore yourself, because there is lots of things there for you. We also have a free bedtime and nap cheat sheet, which you can download, and that has some very quick and actionable steps to get you on the right track when it comes to sleep. And finally, if you want a big thing to get your teeth into, we've got a Bedtime Battles course, and that looks at all the different behaviour issues that you might be having at bedtime across the board, and it is sort of like a future-proofing course that can help you in all sorts of different scenarios. So you might want to take a look at that as well. Anyway, don't forget to like, comment and subscribe, because I'm loving hearing from you. And I also really appreciate it if you give me some ideas from videos that you'd like more information about, because I've got lots of things I can talk about, and it really helps if I know the right thing that you would like to hear me talking about. Until the next time, goodbye.